Well.
Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Didn't expect I'd be on the microphone this morning. You good? I'm with Deck Hanneman Funeral Home of Bowling Green. Just a little bit about me. I've been in the funeral business for about 15 years and have been doing advanced funeral planning. I worked for a funeral home up in Toledo for a bunch of years and took a little break from funeral service. And then now I've been down here at Deck Hanneman for a little over 4 years. So it really does my heart good to help families go through this process, get everything in line for their families so that they don't have to worry about this. So a little bit about Deck Hanneman, established in 1912. We have 11 locations now. Of course, Bowling Green is the mothership, but I go around, I do all the planning for all 11 of our locations. We do own and operate our own crematory. It is at our location out here on West Wooster. So we do everything in-house here at Hanneman. So this, as you can tell from your little duckies on the table, this presentation is about getting your ducks in a row. Very important thing to do after retirement. Make things a lot easier on your family. Yeah, that's what it is. Getting your ducks in a row. Uh-oh. Sure, it worked a minute ago.
That's.
Uh-oh, what did you
Right away.
get? Hold on, sorry. Technical difficulties. The thing that we're getting the clicker, yeah. Sorry.
And that sometimes you do that. It's broken. Bro. Wait. That'll help it.
Oh, I see what happened.
That's all that's all to.
So could I ask a question about your?
Sure.
We're gonna need in North Baltimore for a second funeral home, that 5-year-old.
You have to ask Mr. Ham. I'm not really sure. I guess he felt that,
Went to Sheepsburg.
well, I do go there. Yeah, Smith Grace is there, and then we just opened our 11th location in New Baltimore, or North Baltimore. Yeah, that's above my pay grade. I'm not sure why they opened it, but that's what people do, I guess, in business.
I was Broadway.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see, here we go. So what do I need to have? A complete planning portfolio should have all these things, like to get things in line for your family. I do, I'm sorry. I do suggest, you contact a lawyer or, planning specialists that are specialized in each one of these fields, so you know that you've got, a reliable plan put in place. I do have a couple people that I do refer, so if you need, a referral for that, I can give you that. But it's so important, minimum of having a will, a health representative in your will in case something happens. You have somebody to take care of your durable powers of a attorney for health and financial. Get a trust or a will in place, your POA, and cemetery plans. That's another part of the whole funeral part is getting your plot marker, and all that put together. And last of all, and best of all, as far as I'm concerned, pre-planned funeral. So so today we'll cover advanced funeral planning, the benefits of what your options are, not so much specific costs, but general costs, funding options and benefits. So, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to stick your arm up and wave to me. I won't bite and, ask any questions. There's no crazy questions. Been doing this a long time and, I don't claim to know everything because things do change over the years, but, I know quite a bit about it all. So, don't be afraid to ask any questions. So something had happened last night, who would be in charge of your arrangements? Usually it's your spouse or your kids, could be family members, it could be a friend. I've done a lot of rearrangements where, people don't even have family members and they have a friend come in. So, but it would be a comforting thing to know that things are taken care of and that person would have just an easy process to address all these issues. Nobody knows when their death will occur. I looked it up this morning to see what the average age is in the United States right now. For men, it's 76 years old, and for women, it's 81 years old. So if you're above that right now, then you beat the odds. But they said 78 is between men and women. 78 is the average. So I will say 72 is my average age that I pre-plan. All the hundreds of people I meet every year, about 72, right after retirement is kind of when people do this. Youngest, 17. Did that years ago. It was a special needs. I have people in their 20s, 30s that are single parents, have special needs children, want to make sure things are set up and in order for them. I've had people that I've had two people that have had children that were going to prison for the rest of their life, and they wanted to make sure that they had pre-arrangements set up so eventually when they did come out that they would be taken care of. So and then the oldest 102, was it 102?
Yeah.
102. So she was 103 when she passed.
No, 102.
102. Okay, yeah. So she was the oldest. So it's never too late. But the earlier you do it, the better off. And the cheaper things are because obviously prices just keep going up. So biggest reason I believe is peace of mind. It's just to know at least that you have a general plan put in place. Not to say that over the years needs change. Beautiful thing about a pre-plan, you can mold it and change it. You live to be 110 years old and you've got that 2-day visitation and the whole pomp and circumstance planned and you're 110, maybe that's not necessary anymore, so things can be modified, changed, and all that. So, but it does give us the peace of mind to know that we have a plan put in place. So, advanced funeral planning guarantees today's price. If it is something that you prepay, with us, it does lock prices in. It eliminates emotional overspending. I can attest to that. My mother passed away at 59 years old, just died of a sudden heart attack. I went and met with the funeral director and I said, sky's the limit. I don't care. Just give me the most expensive thing you have because that was my mom. That's right. So, that takes care of that when things are pre-planned. The kids know, family, whoever knows what
It's taken care of.
what you wanted, what you wanted. So, and it also takes care of the bill. It eliminates family hardships, doubts and disputes. I can't even tell you how many times we've met with families and there's always, there's 4 kids. There's always one that's done better. And then the other ones are like, well, you make all kinds of money. You can take care of it. And then all of a sudden they're like, well, no, that was your mother too. And you need to share in it. And then all of a sudden you've got people and we're going to call the sheriff and you get that's so yeah, so it's happened. So it really eliminates that. And when you do things in advance, if people haven't planned and you don't have the funds all at once to do it, we can set up a payment plan to fit your budget. So that's a nice thing about it. Once plans are made, they are transferable. I've got a lot of people are like, well, maybe I'll move to Florida or maybe I'll go to Arizona or whatever. And then they'll come back and then, yes. If it is something you set up ahead of time, a plan is transferable.
How does it work?
So I'll get into that in a little bit, but I'll get into that in a little bit and I'll explain how that works. So also, these assets, with what I offer, are protected from nursing homes and Medicaid because they are placed into, it's called an irrevocable burial trust. So once funds are placed into trust, they are protected. So, so there's 4 steps to funeral planning. The first step is to complete all your biographical information. The second would be to select what type of services you would like, traditional burial, cremation. Then you would select the merchandise that corresponds with those type of services. So casket, vault, urn, memorial package, jewelry, all that kind of stuff. And then the 4th step would be to explore the options with advanced funding of your funeral. So that first step, the biographicals, it's basically all the information we would need for death certificates and cremation authorizations. Basically, I like to get a 1-page snapshot of everything you would like to occur, or at least what you were thinking the day we meet. Now, the personal expression guides that I gave to you, that has all the information that I gathered, plus a whole bunch more. That is more for your family. That is more for that. It can tell them where your CDs are and where your investments and who to invite to your funeral and who not to. And I mean, it's a very comprehensive, way more than we need at the funeral home. This basically is what I gathered, a 1-page snapshot. We talk about family history. We get all your personal wishes. I mean, you can get as detailed with a pre-plan or as basic. I have some people come in and say people are like, just cut it. I just want simple cremation, no services. Don't try to sell me anything else. That's all I want. So, but then you have other people that want to pick out all their songs and they want to know exactly what they're going to wear, what jewelry they're going to have on. And I had a gal once, her mother had a handmade handkerchief that she wanted in her hands and in the casket. So, special requests, anything like that, cremated remains of your cat or dog in the casket with you, or a cell phone, or your favorite blanket, or I want to be cremated with my Buckeye shirt on, or whatever it might be. I write everything down and we have that on file. So God forbid something happens. This is such a hard thing to talk to about kids. Everybody, I can't believe the stories people tell me over the years. Like they'll pour their heart out to me, but they can't talk to me about their kids. And I love it. And I love talking with people and learning people's stories and histories and get all this down. So it's so important, so important. And even written communications to your loved ones. I've had people say, don't fight or don't change anything, or, love each other, some stuff like that. So very important. Step 2, decide what kind of services you want. Is it traditional burial or cremation? I know there's lots of options and I'll kind of go over those here in a minute. Why have a service? A lot of people anymore, boy, I tell you, it's well over half, I would say, that say, no services. If if they want to see me, come see me now. Don't come after. Well,
Why has that happened? I used to work in a funeral home.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know if it's the funeral profession has done a shoddy job and people just don't feel that services are worth anything anymore, or people's I've thought about it a lot and I've talked to a lot of people why that is. If people don't have a self-worth or value that they're worth, having people gather and celebrate their life, tell their stories. But that's what it's about. It's about, it doesn't matter to you because you're gone. It matters to your family. And I tell you what, you need to, it prolongs grief when you don't give your family that venue to gather and express, love and laugh and cry and be together. That's why we gather. And I know nobody likes to go to a funeral, nobody likes to, but it's something about that gathering and coming to grips with the loss of their loved one. It helps them through that grieving process and helps move on. So that's my feeling on it. You might think I'm, whatever, but that's what I feel on it. So as far as services, you have, of course, traditional burial, which is, everybody knows traditional burial. Used to be 2-day visitation and funeral service, then graveside. Well, and then it went down to 1-day visitation, next day funeral, graveside. Well, since COVID and, things got really messed up with COVID and with everything in life, I think. And basically now it seems that same day visitation funeral is kind of the thing if it's traditional. But or just a graveside or just a direct burial, with no services. So those are kind of your options with traditional. And then with cremation, you would have what I would call a traditional full service cremation, where you would be shown in a rental casket, just like it's a regular funeral. You'd be embalmed and prepared and laid out, and then you can have the funeral and visitation at either at the funeral home or at the church, just like a regular funeral. But just afterwards, you would be sent to the crematory, and then at a later date, have burial of remains, or the family can just come take your remains. So, the second choice with cremation would be to have the cremation performed first, and then have services either at the funeral home. Everybody calls it a different thing: a celebration of life, a gathering. There's many terms for it now, but that would be kind of the second choice. And that could be at the funeral home, at the bowling alley, wherever your favorite place was, the park. And the nice thing about cremation too is that, with traditional burial, things kind of have to be done pretty quickly, within a week and a half. With cremation, once cremation occurs, if it's the dead of winter and there's 3 feet of snow, maybe we can push it off a little bit and we can have, wait till summer or something like that. I don't recommend going out too far though. I've had experience with that in my family, that we had somebody pass and it was 4 or 5 months, and it kind of ripped the Band-Aid off because my uncle that was having that his wife died, he almost didn't make it to the funeral because he was just dreading it so much that day. So I don't recommend too much time between the death and the memorial service or whatever. So. Or, and then the last, we can just provide a direct cremation, no services. Family can come take the remains. They can keep them, scatter them, inter them in a grave, columbarium niche, whatever that might be. Have services on their own, take your remains to the park or, wherever it might be. So. So step 3 of the 4 steps would be to select your merchandise. So that would be your casket, vault, urn, memorial package, flowers, headstone, jewelry. There's lots of things. So.
Is a vault required in the state of Ohio?
So it's not a state requirement, it is a cemetery requirement. So, and I'll get into that a little bit too. So yes, I got a slide for you. So that's coming. So, caskets and urns caskets come in metal and wood. urns come in several different, metal, wood, porcelain, marble, biodegradable, cardboard. We have urns, it's hundreds of urns for depending on what type of disposition you're gonna have for the remains. I have an urn for you, so. Or, you do come back from the crematory just in a simple plastic box and you can figure your urn out on your own, so. But, the cost of a traditional burial is highly dependent on the merchandise. So, and believe it or not, everybody seems to think metal is more expensive than wood. No, it's actually the opposite. Wood is much more expensive.
Are those the only two choices? You don't have caskets that are,
No, we've got we've got all kinds of caskets, but I was just showing you the difference, metal and wood, so. So price ranges, caskets can run, $1,800 to 10,000. An urn can run 150 to $800. So it all depends on what it's made of, and it's like anything else. From a Chevy to a Rolls Royce. So, just depending. So the outer burial containers, like she was just asking, is that a state requirement? No, it is not. And here is a picture of why the cemeteries require an outer burial container. So back in the old days, they used to just dig a hole and put the casket in. And then now, in modern times, we have the excavators and vault trucks and mowers and everything running over. Eventually, the weight of the earth and the machinery running it over will crush the casket, and then the ground will drop and it'll undulate, and the marker goes haywire and everybody's calling and mad, and. So the cemeteries, to avoid that, decided an unlined outer burial container or a grave box is the minimum requirement. So that supports the earth, makes it so it doesn't drop, supports the earth. The unlined gray box is not sealed from the elements, so it actually has holes in the bottom of it. It allows the elements in and out. Everybody has a different view on that. Ashes to ashes, or hey, I want to be high and dry. So that would be the next option would be a vault, a burial vault. That is sealed from the elements. So the minimum is a grave box, but a step up would be a vault. And that is, top is tongue and groove. Once it's placed, the top is placed on there. It basically takes a jackhammer to get it apart if it's properly placed on it.
so there's quite a price difference.
Not really, not a whole lot between the first level of
The unlined.
not tremendous. So the standard, most people go with the standard seal, so. Other
What about burying an urn?
so some cemeteries, not all cemeteries require an urn vault for an urn, same thing.
Okay.
It just depends on the cemetery. Some you can just bury in that plastic box that you come back from the crematory. Others require an outer burial container or an urn. So it's all cemetery requirements. So. So this is some of the other merchandise that we talk about. Memorial package, which would be your service cards, memorial folders, registry book, thank you cards, memory candles. We do a tribute video. There's cremation jewelry. There's other jewelry called mummies, which we take a thumbprint of the deceased, and then you can make jewelry from that. And we keep that on file forever. So if you ever lost your locket or your ring or whatever, you can have it recreated. But yeah, so there's all kinds of different options there. So that we walk through that. And then there's a third section of items. These are called cash advance items. They're all part of the funeral, but the first two sections that we go through, the services and the merchandise, are funeral charges. These are third-party charges, but they are all part of the funeral. So that would be death certificates. Death certificates are $25 a piece in Wood County. You have obituary notice, depending on what paper, unfortunately, the days of free obituaries are long gone. You can post on our website free of charge. The Independent does pick it up from our website. But the Sentinel, we're seeing between 2 and 250 is the average price for an obituary right now. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And Toledo Blade, 800 to 1,000 right now yeah. Used to be able to do a death notice in the Toledo Blade for free,
Yeah.
and that's $50 now just for a death notice. So, yeah, it's gotten pretty crazy, but you know, as you can see, there's all kinds of third party items you can add to the arrangement. The honorariums, flowers, organist, cemetery charges, church charges, depending on what church. They can have, several different fees. So, final etching on your headstone, hairdresser, luncheon, banquet hall. So many things. That most people don't think of but it's all part of the funeral, so.
So,
Yeah.
so you're saying those items are paid up front
So
as
most
part of the
people,
pre-plan?
yes, so most,
So
most,
like, how do you know that the final etching like would be $200? I mean,
so the third party items, so. If you prepay service charges and merchandise, those are completely guaranteed. Third party items, because they're estimates, allowances, and not our charges, those can fluctuate.
I know, but I
So-
mean, how do you
Because you wouldn't even.
do the initial payment versus what final payment? Do they give like an allowance?
Yeah, so these are allowances, so
For
yeah.
all of, if say you picked all of this, do they give like $1,000 allowance? And then if it exceeds that, then that.
Then they
would
have to
come
pay
out.
the extra, exactly. Now, and funds can be reallocated in this section. So let's say you pre-planned and you got 5 death certificates, and when you passed, the kids only got 3. That you had $50 extra, the kids can put that $50 towards flowers, towards bank, something else. By law, if funds aren't used, we just write a check back to your state. So unless you're on Medicaid at the time, that's a whole different, well, I won't even get into the Medicaid situation, but that is,
Or all the other bills are paid.
yeah, so you got the lion's share of the money. Let's say you put, $300 in for the obituary, and it came out to 325. The family would just have to make up that extra 25 times. So, but it would, the lion's share of the money. Whenever I hear somebody say, "Oh, my aunt did a prepaid funeral, and at the end, the funeral director came out and said I owed $400," and I said, "Well, that is not on the guaranteed side, that is on the non-guaranteed side, and that would be these third-party items."
So on the
So-
guaranteed side, is it just the casket?
No, it's the service charges, so all the service charges for traditional burial or cremation with services, or whatever those service charges are. And then the casket, all the merchandise, anything on our side of the equation is totally guaranteed. Doesn't matter. I always say, I know what a dozen eggs and a quart of milk costs today, but 20 years from now, when you need this, I don't know. So that's why taking care of things ahead of time is advantageous for sure. So step 4. So after you've chose, and we got it right down to basically, I know what all those things cost in today's dollars. I can provide you with different options. But advanced funeral funding assures that the expenses are not left for others. Like I said earlier, those funds are placed into an irrevocable burial trust. And it's a protected asset at that point, so nursing homes and Medicaid can't touch the money. It is transferable. Like I said, if you all of a sudden decided to move to Florida and said, "Boy, I'm not going back to Ohio and deal with those nasty winters anymore," you can transfer monies to any other funeral home in the nation. So there's flexible, you can either pay at once, or there are payment plans. Payment plans are based on your age and the amount of the plan. In the payments, there's insurance included, so that if you died before it was paid off, it pays off a balance. So you can pay the payment plans off at any time. They are 6 months, same as cash. A lot of people take advantage of that, and pay the minimum for 6 months and then pay it off. Um, or you can go a little bit further and, there are some penalties. But it's a lot cheaper than having to pay through the whole term, so.
You said transferable to any funeral home, but do they all participate or is that a bunch of them?
It would be by choice. I mean, they don't have to, but it'd be crazy for them not to. I mean, it's just kind of the normal ebbs and tides of the funeral business. Is you have people that move all the time and that business goes away, and then you have people that I have just as many people move into town and retire. It's amazing. Bowling Green, people love Bowling Green to retire here because it's such a wonderful community, and there's so much here. And so I have a lot of people come in and they want to transfer their arrangements from, wherever, another funeral home in Ohio, Florida, it doesn't matter. We accept that, whatever they have prearranged, that's, just business that we wouldn't normally get. And, so we would expect another funeral home.
Protocol for all.
It is, yeah, it's protocol. So, um, so let's see, where are we? So, yeah, so you have that insurance protection if you do the payment plan. Um, we do get the funds immediately upon death. So if there is something pre-planned, a lot of the other ways you can pay for a funeral, it takes time. Especially if you have like a life insurance policy or a CD, or you gotta wait to sell a boat or something, there can be some waiting and extra expense. And typically, payment is due upon services in the funeral. Doesn't matter what funeral home you go to. It's pretty much expected that payment is due upon services, so. And then it does guarantee our prices against future inflation, so. These are some of the different ways you can pay for a funeral. The first column is the irrevocable funeral trust that I've been talking about. It checks all the boxes, that it will take. It's the only way I know 100% that it will take care of your funeral. An annuity, a savings account, a CD, life insurance, mutual funds. There's a lot of what ifs with those, and they don't guarantee a funeral.
So what is that defined growth rate? You make money on it?
So when you do put it in the irrevocable funeral trust, it goes into, it's an insurance trust, so it does grow in value. Any growth in that policy over the years, we keep, that's how we guarantee the funeral. So, and it's in very, safe T-bills, just very safe, it's making 3-4%. So we're hoping that's gonna keep up with inflation. So. So those funds are placed into the irrevocable trust, that protects you, protects us, so that's law in the state of Ohio that these funds can't be commingled with, the funeral home's funds, so it has to be placed into trust. So in the event, we went out of business or you moved or whatever, those funds can be transferred, so your money is saved. It's for your protection. It can't be used for any other purpose, like other insurance policies that can be borrowed against or cashed in or anything like that. This cannot. It's specifically for your burial purposes. We do offer a 3, 5, 7, and 10-year payment plan. And like I said, it is 6 months, same as cash. Or you can go up to a year, for $150. So, today, the average, I looked it up, average nationwide, a traditional burial, the funeral homes charges would be 11,000. At a 4.5-5% inflation, should be at 14,000, almost 18,000. at almost 30,000. So that goes to show you, if you have, let's say today you had a $15,000 life insurance policy, well, it'd cover you today. Maybe in 5 years it'd cover you, but 10 years, 20 years, that $15,000 policy you have today may not do the job. So that's why I say the only way I know to fully ensure that it's going to be paid for is the means that I'm talking about. So we do offer a travel plan. That's another part of this. A lot of my snowbirds, I don't know if people like to be called that anymore, but people that go to Florida or just people who like to travel. We offer a travel plan that in the event you were more than 70 miles from home and you were to pass away, it would get you back to us. So it's a one-time fee you pay, and it covers you for the rest of your life. We note it in your file, so if you were on a cruise or in China or somewhere crazy, this would get you back. Right now, depending on what time of year and airfare and everything, it can be $4,000 to $5,000 to get you back from Florida or Arizona. If you're international, it can cost well over $20,000 to get you home. So if you travel at all, I highly recommend a travel plan. So
you're saying that is insurance that you'll get the person's body home from wherever they
exactly.
die.
Yep.
And you say from Florida home could be $4,000 to $5,000.
Yep. Because that's
Even in luggage?
no, so yeah, there's quite a bit involved with it. So so anyway, so think of your family, plans you make today for your families tomorrow. It's just a thoughtful and loving thing to do for your family. I highly experiencing a death sudden death with my mom at a young age, having nothing planned, very traumatic, having to make, in the back of your expressions guides there's a list of I think it's 125
Oh,
things that you have to deal with on that day. And there's probably more than that, but I've actually had people go through that list and check mark every one of those off, and I got that done. I got that done, so that's a good list and lets you know what would be needed. But it just makes it so much easier on your family. My father-in-law died 7 years ago. I had pre-planned him and my mother-in-law down in Marion 10 years ago or so. He died of a sudden aneurysm. Had everything planned, everything was paid for. Literally, we walked in our funeral home. It took us 15 minutes in and out. So it just made that horrible day, just so much easier. So it just makes sense. So I just want to thank everybody for coming out today. Any questions? Yeah.
Are there laws, state laws, or is it all by the cemetery to go rest yourself of plots? My in-laws bought us plots where we don't even live anymore. We can't seem to get rid of them.
Yeah, we were.
Sell them, we can't come back to the church.
I was just telling this lady, so Facebook Marketplace is really the only, if you're on Facebook, that's really the only place I've seen for sale. I know in Toledo, I think there used to be a website in Toledo, ToledoBurialPlots.com or something.
Isn't obligated.
No. Some will, like Oak Grove here in Bowling Green is getting short on plots. So if you had extra plots, they may buy one back, or you could probably sell one pretty easily. But like a lot of the cemeteries with cremation now, nobody's burying anymore just because of the sheer cost of the opening and closing fees.
What do you have to buy if you're cremated and buried? Don't you have to buy a plot to be buried, or?
Yeah. If you want to be buried, either your cremated remains or your casketed remains, you have to buy a plot. Well, or if you want them buried at a cemetery, now you can scatter remains. As long as you can scatter remains on private property, as long as you have permission from the landowner. You're not supposed to scatter like in the Toledo Metro Parks or anything like that. they have services that go on in like into Lake Erie. You can scatter, they have a tour, or tours, what do you call them? Whatever you call it. You can rent a boat, and take your mains out, they'll scatter. But I know like in Florida, you do have to go out to international waters, though, for the ocean. So, and I don't understand that because there's nothing hazardous or cremated remains is just bone, it's just calcified remains. So, yeah, so there are fees for cremated remains also at the cemetery. They're typically about half of what traditional burial is. So,
Some cemeteries allow you to put two
mhm.
on each plot,
Yep,
like a,
yep.
Yeah.
Some, even in California, there's some that will take up to like 8 or 10 cremated remains per plot. So, Ohio, typically in Ohio, at least the cemeteries around here, you can either do two cremated remains or one casketed and one cremated.
So you can open back up a casketed one, can you open in a cremated one, but
Yep. Most in this area.
We had a family, friend of the family, the husband died like 10 years earlier. Then she had cremation, put it in an urn.
Mhm.
Then when she was buried, she did a traditional burial and had his urn in the casket with her.
Yeah.
I'd never heard of that.
Well,
That's so strange, you never heard of it before. Yeah, that's what I said, we got
Well,
one casket down here.
yeah, the cemeteries, some of them have caught on to that, and because it's all about the fees, they want to get their fees, so. Typically you're not supposed to do that, and if you do, you're supposed to let them know so that they can charge you the fees. So.
See, if it was in West Virginia, I doubt that.
Right. But I mean, we have put like cremated cats and dog, pets and stuff, Yeah.
I have a container that was for my husband when he was cremated.
Mhm.
It was supposedly for both of us.
Mhm.
Well, when I got it with him in it, the woman said he took up the whole thing. So. Take it out, do I have to be separate, to separate us?
So,
I do not know that.
yeah, they're separate.
That's the reason I spent so much on this.
Right, but he must have been a big guy.
Well, he was.
Yeah, 'cause, it just depends, it's bone, so,
Right.
if it's a big person, women are typically have smaller bones, so it's not as much. So.
So I'm pretty
I
much.
probably
Gonna have to go with.
have to get another, or put most your remains in with him, or you can mix them up together. You've done that,
Yeah.
mixed remains and then put them in two different containers, or. Give some of the remains to the kids if they wanna keep some remains, or,
The other thought was, you said something about the ashes jewelry.
Mhm.
Can you take past ashes like some of his and have it made in? I can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got all kinds of, we have little mini urns that look they're called memento urns.
Right.
We have little votive candles where you can put some remains in there and just light a candle out of it. They're compressing cremated remains into diamonds and precious stones. If you go to lifegem.com. They'll actually compress cremated remains into fine gemstones. So there's a lot of different things. I have a friend of mine that does fireworks. He'll put your cremated remains into a big coconut and string it up. So yeah, they're good. So thummies, like I said, so we take a thumbprint of the deceased and we keep that on file, so in case one of the family members ever wants to create some jewelry from that, they're called thummies.
You mean, would be jewelry of a thumbprint?
Uh-huh.
they put it on metal.
Yeah, like a necklace.
Yeah, a necklace and, oh my
Bracelet.
gosh, bracelets, key fobs, money clips, I mean, they've got everything under the sun, it's amazing. So the thing I like about that is if you ever lost it, then you can recreate it. But if you have cremation jewelry with actual cremated remains in it and you lost it, then it's gone forever,
Right.
so.
What about the people that have, knee replacements, typically all that metal, what happens if they?
So the only thing that's removed ahead of time is anything with a battery in it, so pain pumps, pacemaker, defibrillators, whatever, anything with a battery, because that will explode in the retort. So that is removed before, like knees, hips, shoulders, you know, metal, a lot of it burns up, it really, it's really hot, but we have a service that comes around, a recycling service that comes around and takes those. Sometimes the family members want things back. You know, and I don't recommend that, but.
Do they do freezing yet?
Um, So that's a West Coast thing, so there are some different things, they have, I don't know. They have one called Promession, which is kind of like an enzyme bath where they put your body in a big martini shaker basically and. It cavitates and takes all the soft tissue off and then they process the bone. That's one thing. They have the freezing that you're talking about. I'm not sure what cryo something. Where they flash freeze your body and then hit it with a sound wave.
Yeah.
And it instantly,
Ashes.
yeah, it instantly turns you into a bazillion pieces. So that's another one. They have natural composting. That's kind of West Coast. That's Washington, Oregon out there. But they have these big, they're like drying kilns where they put the body in and they cover it with twigs and berries and whatever else in it for. But then it naturally composts the body. So there are some new things coming, not in Ohio though. Green burial, I've had a lot of people call me recently about green burial, you know, so. Yeah, there's really, so there's no casket, they basically, put you in a burlap sack and bury you with no casket or vault or anything.
That's legal?
In certain areas, it's legal, not around here. I don't know if, northern Michigan, there's one up in northern Michigan, kind of over by Traverse City. Down south of here, nothing in this area that was for green. And I've actually, in the last month, I've had 3 people call me asking about green burial. I'm like, don't know much about it, so.
And for a green burial, where it's legal, can you just bury them in the backyard or does it still have to be?
No, it's a cemetery. Yeah, it's a cemetery, so. What was that?
Yeah, I just had a question, like if, like if I would die, for example, and they have this plan, what would she do? I mean, I died home.
Mhm.
Call it
Call
911.
911, yeah, and, you know, it just depends, if it was expected, if hospice was involved.
Well, I mean, as far as getting a funeral party. Like,
Oh, you just call us and
Okay.
we're out within the hour to come take you into our care, and then typically the next
So-
day or so, we would meet.
so my body would be transported to the hospital
No.
No,
or?
to the.
Well, it depends. So if you call 911 and they came out, they deemed
Yeah.
it non-suspicious, then they
Yeah.
would be, okay, he's pre-planned at Hanneman. They call us,
Okay.
we come out,
So
take
actually,
you
we
into
come and
our
take part
care.
at that point.
Now, if it was deemed suspicious, the coroner, you'd be taken up to Toledo, for an autopsy. But that doesn't happen here. There's no.
But that voice can make.
So, but if you were in, hospice, if you were in a nursing home and you were failing and they knew, you know, they would just call us. And we would come out.
So you have a phone number.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
goes with
You
that,
just
and
call.
all you do is
You call our main number, it would go to what, we have a funeral director on duty 24/7, 365. We'd be,
So would you determine whether it's suspicious or not when you come to pick up?
no, the police and the paramedics and if the coroner is called out, yeah, they would, and
So they would come
any,
first.
yeah, and then any organ donations, anything
That's
like
what I
that,
thought.
that's all done before you come to us, because that has to be done very quickly after death occurs, because obviously.
I just wasn't sure, cause if I die and I wanted to donate.
Yep.
My daughter's gonna call you and you're gonna say, oops. Not me first.
They typically,
No, that's.
no, typically they would look at like the paramedics or whoever police, they look at your ID to see if you're a body, a donor.
Okay,
But like I said, any of that is pretty much all done before you come to us.
okay.
So at one time, maybe twice, 15 years, I can think of them actually coming to the donor home to harvest organs or skin or something, but that it's been a long time, not here.
Anything about, the best way to set up your estate as far as trust or living?
So that, I would refer you to an attorney. I have a card.
The attorney card.
Yeah, so I have a gentleman, he puts on free subscriptions twice a month. He does one over in Maumee and one in Fremont. He has an office in Fremont, one in Maumee, but I could talk to him, but no, he's
They just had, that's what I was hoping to see.
what's that?
They just had a seminar, not too awful long ago about the, pre-planning as far as donating. Setting that out. So I thought that's,
So that's a very important part. So that's all, well, getting your ducks in a row. So-
Just a quick comment about her, we have family up at Toledo Memorial Park at Sylvania.
Yep.
And when we've gone through there, that I've seen for sale signs for plots, like they're right. That kind of flat. Wow. Yeah.
So if you sell a plot, then the cemetery also gets a transfer, they have a fee that you gotta pay the cemetery to transfer the deed, so it's like. It's a piece of property, so they,
You're right.
it's all about, they all gotta get their share, so. Yeah.
Memorial Gardens told me a couple of years ago that you could put at least 3 cremains in one grave.
Oh, they allow that at Memorial Gardens, okay, that's good to know, good to know. All right, so they do, Memorial Gardens does allow 3 for what?
The one about freezing.
Yeah.
Since it's not Bowling Green area, do you think you will get it at some point? Can I get it cremated or get it frozen there and brought back to Bowling Green?
It would be quite an expense, because wherever they do that, you would have to be shipped out there and have it done and.
I see.
Okay, so it would be insanely expensive, like, right? What's that?
Thunder does not burn in a, you know.
You're froze.
That way. They're frozen.
And all of
Busted
this-
into ashes.
oh,
So you're froze first and froze behind your back.
Comment on all of this. There are 2 times in your life you really can get emotionally involved in extending things. One is when you get married and all the crap that goes along with that. And funerals, the same thing. And so by pre-planning, you kind of cut down the emotion. You can't cut it out.
Right.
But you can modify it so
Well,
that
that's
you
what-
don't look down the road 10 years and find you have your husband's parts in jewelry that you're never gonna look at again, where you spent all this. That may be, I'm just using that as an example, but the pre-planning really worked. My mom used this years and years ago, and she even pre-planned her meal, her service, or whatever you wanna call it, after the funeral home.
Yeah.
After the funeral rather, and everything worked out beautifully, except for the restaurant she chose closed down.
Okay.
They had the funeral home at home, switched it to another one that we chose, and it was no big deal,
Right.
you know? So it
So-
really helped.
So, yeah, we typically, I mean, you can name a restaurant, so typically it's an allowance, it's a dollar amount.
Oh,
we
she
set
has a
aside.
meal all planned and everything.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was, yeah.
Well, we usually use either Beckett's, Call Canyon, which you guys just sampled. And, or the bowling alley, the golf club, a lot of family, it's amazing. We've had people do sack lunches, we've had people, just do light apps, you can do deli trays from Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, Sam's, Costco, wherever. It's up to you. We do have, I'm sure a lot of you have been to our facility, we have a banquet hall there. That we actually had a wedding there, We've had bridal showers there. It's a really, it's a nice, it's really nice. We have a room for up to 100 people, got a grand piano. It's great, so for a meal.
There's one other thing, each time we've come in, our meals have been provided by Deaf Hannemans.
Mhm.
And please be sure to thank them for doing this, because they've done it for the entire year for us. No charge to us whatsoever,
Okay.
which is an awfully nice service. I hope they continue it next year.
Well, thank you. I will.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. I'll pass that on. That's fine.
I wondered what your recourse is, this happened twice, and I don't think it's common, but the independent funeral home that, had a prepaid funeral, and then they went out of business. I don't know what happened to these people, it's money.
So, like I said, we put that money is placed in a trust, so it's kept separate.
So it had nothing to do with them
Had
going
nothing
out.
to do with, no, that money is still safe. So so all the people, so say you had a prepaid funeral at that funeral home. You would just contact your, just go shopping for another funeral home and then, yeah. Oh, yeah, you have to do the paperwork, you have to transfer it. It depends on if it's irrevocably assigned to the funeral home, then it needs to be signed off on, but if it's a revocable one, then you can just move it, no problem, but either way, it's a simple, very simple process to move arrangements from one funeral home to another, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, I put a survey in the back. If you guys could fill that out for me and let me know what I did or didn't do right, and I would appreciate it. Thank you for coming out today. My card is in the back. If you guys ever have any questions, you can call or would like to sit down. So, yeah, thank you very much.
Not to.
Yeah. Me, the council, don't break it.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, this is. No, you can't read it.
Times a month, you will call, find out when his seminars are. There's no obligation. But he's a job, he's done. I met him down in Finley as he and I went to one of them, and he only charges you, he'll sit down and figure out what you need, and he only charges you for whatever they need here. Kind of a la carte thing, so, but very knowledgeable about it. So, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. No.